I'm Dr. Randy Hicks, co-founder of the company, and I'm presently acting as co-CEO and president of the company.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Hicks. My role at RMI, I'm a diagnostic and interventional radiologist here.
When I started my career, CT was available and working and probably standard of the industry, but MRI was actually just in its infancy. And so these were all technologies that were advancing the field very quickly, but we were still hanging film and processing film in dark rooms.
As my first job, a 17, 18-year-old here at Regional Medical Imaging was to hang mammograms in a very particular fashion for this doctor over here.
What was RMI like in the late 80s, early 90s? RMI was a different place. Obviously, we were very small and we were very family-oriented, meaning we stayed together as a team and built a family of people that were working together to try to change the community we were in. At that time, we were in this community, Genesee County, and our goal was really to be the doctor's doctor, but also be great with patients and interact with them on a one-on-one basis much more frequently than we had seen in the hospital setting that we had trained in. So the whole thing was much smaller, but a much closer feeling because of that. Today, we are a large family, and that has changed radically, but we still continue to be a family and work together as a team. I think in my world, the accomplishments have been based around women's imaging and the number of lives that we've saved and the number of people we've affected and changed their lives. So for me, it's been a real journey of can I make an excellent center based around breast imaging that also can manage those patients long-term with other things, being body imaging, musculoskeletal imaging, neuroimaging, and give them the tools they need to lead good lives.
Yeah, I think something else to be proud of, is seeing this company from the point of view of an 18-year-old and then to now. There's been change, but there hasn't been change. There's been change in the things that he mentioned, but there hasn't been change in the humanity of what this company is. We still get on the phones every day. I speak to patients every day, and to have a radiologist say that is extraordinarily uncommon. But we do. We want, direct communication. We want to be available, and we want to be a caring company. We're a doctor-owned business, and I think to say that in 2025 is something to really be proud of.
Yeah, I would second that in the sense of, being a doctor-owned business is difficult. It's very hard, and it's not an easy task. I went back to school to get my MBA not because I wanted to make money, but it's because I didn't know exactly how to manage the company through a lot of turmoil. So that's left me to lead through a sea of uncertainty with some certainty, meaning I know that what I know, and I know that I can manage as a business person, and I'm very proud that Michael's going back to get his MBA to help lead the company. And this is not something we do as a family for us, but for the people we work with. We were the first center in Michigan to become ACR certified as a center of excellence in breast cancer imaging. And that was really important to us in the sense that we wanted to set that bar really high and prove that we could compete with world-class institutions like the University of Michigan, Henry Ford, and other institutions in Michigan that hadn't yet gotten there. And to get there, we had to work hard. We had to not only do great breast imaging in mammography, but also ultrasound, MRI, and prove our skill sets in biopsies and other technology capabilities that we wanted to show that we could do that really, really great.
Early 2025, we became a center of excellence for prostate MRI, one of only a few centers in the state to have made that achievement. Really proud of it. It's a testament to our team and our interest in patient care, in quality of imaging, and now to become, a center of excellence for imaging both the most common cancers in men and women here at RMI. It's a great achievement for our team.
The biggest impact we've had in Michigan is that in smaller communities that are not university-based communities, we have been able to bring world-class services to those communities and actually elevate the systems in those communities. From my perspective, breast imaging is world-class wherever we are in the state, and it is the best in the industry that I would put myself up against anyone, and I think my son in prostate imaging is going to do the same thing. I think I have other colleagues that are having services like PET-CT in this company is probably at a standard very high compared to the rest of the state. And again, I'm not insulting anyone. I'm just stating that I think we would put ourselves up against anybody in that industry in what we do in those subsegments. We do a great job in musculoskeletal imaging. So there's nothing that I would fear in this company that I say we have a weakness in. I think we're exceedingly strong in those areas that I've discussed. Artificial intelligence for a patient should be somewhat soothing to you in the sense that what it does for us as physicians is today we are presented with images that are just a massive amount of data. So in the old days, back when I started in the 1980s, late 80s and early 90s, for a mammogram, I read 4 pictures. I saw 4 images, 2 of one position and 2 of another position, and that was it. 4 images done. Today, in a mammogram, I see about 280 images per woman. 280 images per woman. Now, if you do the math, which I happen to I did it on an Excel spreadsheet. If you do the math, in 2.7 days, I see as many images as I used to see in a year today. In 2.7 days of reading 100 mammograms, I'll see the same images I used to see in an entire year. That's 250 days. So you can imagine my brain. That is like just frying my brain. Just think through all those images and try not to miss a breast cancer that's the size of a tiny little nugget that you want me to find for you because you want me to find breast cancer early. To do that, my brain has to work very fast because I'm trying to do it in an efficient way, but it also has to work a huge amount of data, which is very trying. And we're interrupted a lot because we're humans trying to talk to people and trying to take care of you as patients and so all those things. But artificial intelligence sits in background, doesn't get interrupted, and actually has read more cases than I can read in 3 lifetimes. It's already looked at that because it's been trained to look at those and find breast cancers. In those cases, it's been trained specifically to look for breast cancer. And we've worked with those people building artificial intelligence to retrain and retrain and retrain it so it's really good at what it does. That means I have a really expert on board with me all the time. So when I'm looking at your images, that expert has also looked at those images and is saying to me, hey, Dr. Hicks, look at this one over here. What do you think of it? Now, it's not saying, I think it's breast cancer, you should do something. It's saying, what do you think as a human? I'm a robot, or I'm an artificial intelligence computer. I see this. What do you think? And together, we are an awesome team. Alone, not so good. Alone, I'm pretty good, but not super. I'm not Superman, and I'm not God. I can't find everything. So I try to work as best I can with the tools I have, and artificial intelligence makes it better. And it does it in a way that is non-intrusive and allows me as a human to come up with a final answer. So it should be hopefully soothing to you that I have that in background working, and I can tell you as a person that's done it for about 7 years, worked with artificial intelligence with me and reading mammograms, it's helped me to find a lot of cancers.
In the imaging side of things, some things that we are currently using would be a tool that finds lung nodules. So it's amazing. It basically makes all of the vessels and the airways in the lungs that make it somewhat confusing to find lung nodules as you're scanning through the lungs. It makes those all go away, basically. It makes them disappear such that all you see on a black screen of the black background of the lungs are the little nodules that dot out through the night sky, so to speak. Now, it's not perfect. It'll mark some things nodules that aren't actually, in fact, nodules. It may accidentally pick up a vessel or something, but that's why we still have jobs. So, and then other things that we're using, a tool that finds compression fractures in the spine. So as bone density declines in people, they're more likely to get the spine shortening and even fracturing and microfracturing and causing height loss or compression of that spine. Can be very hard to pick up with the human eye, actually, believe it or not, when you get only like 10% or less than 10% of a compression. But surprisingly, the computers are able to kind of figure that out. And the reason it's important is it tells you that the patient has oftentimes a bone density loss. And that's risky because it can lead to things like hip fractures, which are life-threatening. And there are medications that you can be on if you have osteoporosis, which is that bone density loss, which can kind of reverse some of that bone loss and prevent those life-threatening hip fractures. It's not only just the imaging. We think about AI, we think about imaging, we think about some tool, helping us find cancers, but it's much more than that. Especially in this company, we've really wrapped our arms around AI, understanding its uses also for efficiency. It's in our billing department, it's in our scheduling, it's all throughout our company. It's in our dictation system. So it's helping us all the way around, and I think you nailed it. When it's used as part of the team, that's when it's at its strongest. We're very actively planning technological investments in several things. I would say that the hot things right now are MRI and PET-CT. We are trying to really ramp up our PET-CT and specifically cancer imaging in order to stay at the top of the charts, so to speak, in that area, because it is rapidly changing. Reasons being, for instance, how we used to scan cancer imaging with PET-CT was using a radio tracer that's fairly nonspecific for different cancers. It can bind to cancers, but it also binds to a lot of things that aren't cancer, which you can imagine isn't all that helpful. But it's what we had for a very long time, and that's called FDG PET-CT. It's basically attaching glucose to a radioisotope and allowing glucose to go bind somewhere in the body. Well, cancers bind more glucose, and therefore they light up. But other things bind glucose as well. But now science is creating all of these radio tracers, actively creating them that bind to different cancers, the individual cancers, and not just any old cell. And we're seeing this happen, and we are trying to ramp up to be able to image people with those radio tracers just as soon as they become available, because we want to give that to our community. We believe that that's going to be the next great frontier in cancer imaging, and so we're really investing a lot in getting there. We currently are doing this. It's called PSMA PET-CT. We have been for several years, I should say, just as soon as it came out back in around 2020 or so. But that is a specific radio tracer for prostate cancer, and you're going to see shortly breast, pancreas, specific tracers for those cancer types, and it's going to be a real shift in the climate of cancer imaging.
So I think as a leader of a company, and hopefully Michael will follow in the footsteps, and I think he will. But you have to vision the future, and that's really what the role of a leader is to think, where are we going and what does it look like? And that's oftentimes hard, but that means you read a lot, or you go to a lot of conferences, you think about futuristic things, and we actually, Michael and I have taken a couple of trips together looking at companies that are doing kind of cutting edge technological things around theranostics, which is basically treatment with imaging involved and the treatment of cancers. Also cutting edge things, based on technology in the background to help take care of patients as they're entering our system. So system technology, to help better flow for patients, scheduling and billing and all those things. So you have to look at the entire portfolio of what's happening, and I think technological advancements are changing it radically right now. I mean, healthcare is really just getting blown away by technological advancements that are occurring real time. And to sit back and just watch it would be fun, but I think you have to engage in it, and I think that's what we're doing. So engagement is the most important thing in learning and changing, and you're not always going to make home runs. You're going to make mistakes, and then you turn around and do it again. Nobody could do this without the employees. The employees are amazing, but every CEO would say that about their company, because they would say, they're all great. But I get to work with my employees every day, which not many CEOs get to say that. Many CEOs get to work with their executives, but I get to work in the trenches with everyone, from the front desk to the billing department to the people in the rooms with the patients. And I can tell you, these are extraordinary people with extraordinary drive to help people. That's the real beauty of it. And what is more important, I deal with hospital patients patients that work at hospitals all day long come to my facility, and I treat them as patients. And what they tell me is it's difficult there because it's a challenge, because they're losing their drive for patient care. Here, I think you find that drive is actually growing, meaning they really love what they do, but they really are energized by the fact that we continue to do well in changing the company and bringing new things. And so they're energized, and they continue to love their job, which is so rare in America, to love what you do. And they say that to me, like, we love being here, Dr. Hicks, we love what we do. We love that. That's pretty uncommon. And again, I know I'm a CEO, I'm an owner, all those things, but I've been in a lot of places in America and around the world, quite honestly, and I can tell you, people are pretty miserable with their lives and where they work. They don't like it. And I think if you walk through RMI, most people will tell you they like what they do and they like the environment they live in and they work in, and that it's a safe environment, it's healthy, and we try to take care of them as they take care of you as patients.
Yeah, I think to add to that, just, it's a little different here than in the hospital. I mean, I've only been here a year and a half, but prior to that, I was in the hospital for a long time. And you see people in the hallway, we share, discussions, academic discussions about patients, what we can do better next time. So there's this feeling of learning, feeling that I care about you, you care about me. There's this back and forth there that I think keeps people passionate about their jobs. And you can see it because every time I leave a patient room, I'll be exiting the room, and then the patient will say, "Oh, I love you. I love coming here. I love seeing you guys." They don't say it to me, but I say it to the nurse and the technologist. So they just do such a wonderful job of taking care of people and really caring about them that it shows through to the patients, and I think it's a great environment to work.
And I would mention one more thing. This isn't by happenstance that we know this about our employees. We do survey them and ask them how things are going, but we also survey the community with a thing called reputation.com, which actually surveys many patients for us, thousands of patients a year, and asks, how is RMI doing? And in the industry, the standard's like, 750 or 720 or whatever it is, and we're over 800 in every place we own and operate. And that's not because of Dr. Hicks and Dr. Hicks. It's because of our employees. And they're the ones who make those reputations so high. As Michael said, they're not saying thank you to us as physicians. They're saying thank you to the staff for what they do and how they treat them, and it's amazing.